Hello again, everybody. This is Dan Clouser, and welcome back to the Journey of My Mother's Son podcast. Today I'm joined with a really special guest, a long time friend, and actually one of the performers and writers of my theme song, Tony Gentile Jr. Tony, thanks for joining me today.
I'm glad we could work this out. This kind of worked out with me coming back for a week.
Absolutely. So, yeah, that's one of the things I wanted to, one of the reasons why I wanted to have you on. You're getting ready to spread your wings here.
That's right.
And take a jump, get out of your comfort zone. We are in Berks County right now, but you are making the leap and made the decision to pursue music full time, and you and your band are moving to Nashville.
That's right, and it's really not just one band. Over the last, oh Lord, it hasn't even been that long that I've gotten to meet some of these guys. I've been playing with Tyler Short, I think only about maybe 2.5 years. And that's been pretty consistent around here. But between Tyler Short, Garrett Schultz, and just kind of a group of musicians from the greater York or greater Lancaster area, I feel like it's about 10, maybe 12 of us that wanted to do this together.
Yeah.
So it feels like our little community from this central PA, eastern PA, wanted to pick up and do it together. So it seemed like there really wasn't a better way to do it.
Yeah. That's so cool, man. I love the fact that you're, stepping out of the comfort zone, making a big decision. I mean, it is a big decision to do this, to just uproot your life and start over. Mm-hmm. And I want to give my listeners a little bit of a background as to how, you and I know each other. I mean, I know your mom and dad much longer than I have a personal relationship with you. Mm-hmm. Your dad was one of my customers when I worked for Wicks Lumber, and we got to know each other, really well over the years. And then after I'd left Wicks and was running my nonprofit organization, which ran a complex out in Leesport, I bumped into your dad at Home Depot, and one thing led to another, and I was probably venting about how it was tough finding help, and he was like, I got somebody who can help you. Tony has to do something more than just watch, TV and play video games over the summer. So,
that's right.
So I gave him a card, and I don't know that by the time I got back to, to the office from that little trip to Home Depot, I might have had an email from you in my inbox saying, hey, my dad told me to reach out. And you worked the summer for me, and really one of the truly, and I'm not just saying this because I'm sitting here with you, but truly one of the best employees we've ever had.
Come on.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And again, I think a lot of that comes from the work ethic that your mom and dad instilled in you.
100%.
But I remember, late nights, in the dark, getting the field ready for the next morning. You and I having conversations, and I remember you talking about, at some point you want to pursue music as a career. And you're just out of college. I don't remember if that was between your junior and senior year, or if you had graduated.
I think that was I think that was between my freshman and sophomore year.
Oh, was that? Okay.
I think so.
Okay. So you're still young and trying to figure it out, but you still, you had that dream. You wanted to play, and kind of seeing you evolve as a musician. You were in a band with my nephew for a little bit. Mm-hmm. We had you guys come out and play at the complex, and
that's right.
Had you guys play at our rebranding event and at the Abe Lincoln, and
oh, that's right, with Carolina Reese.
Yeah, and so I've kind of seen you evolve and get into these bands. But what was it where you were like, you know what, now's the time to make this jump and do it?
That's a good question, because I guess I think it's been a dream since I was a kid, but not until, I suppose, when I 20, 21, 22, like when I was in college, it became like a goal, like something tangible that I can make a plan. I can do this. I'm seeing other people do it and how they're doing it. The stars really aligned. I can't stress enough feeling competent in my playing, first of all. You know, just you get positive feedback from enough people through all the gigs you do, surrounded in a community, and I can't stress that enough. Just the sense of community. Reading itself has such a tight-knit music scene. But Reading, God bless Reading, but I feel like Reading is here. Reading doesn't change too much. It's the tight-knit group of people, but as soon as I was able to branch out playing country in New York, Lancaster, and we've played all over PA and down to Maryland and Delaware, and that the small group in our tight-knit community was truly passionate and driven enough we just started asking each other.
Yeah.
Like, how far are you willing to go? Like, how much are you willing to do? What would you go to Nashville? Like, we're thinking about country. We've been taking trips to Nashville to cut our EPs and singles. And we just realized that, like, you would go. You would move. Your whole family would move. You would move. Oh, my God, I didn't know. So it took a couple trips, and it just kind of, I'll say it again, the stars aligned. And even in hindsight, I don't think there was another point I could have gotten this done. Like, I could have moved with any kind of hope of success.
Right.
If it was a couple years ago, the pandemic would have crushed us.
Right.
Would have came back.
Yeah.
And it still might happen. For all, I might not enjoy this. I might not like that town at all. The people might, who knows? Anything's possible. I might still come home just because I miss it. But, the time when we were working together, I feel like in hindsight I was just a kid. I didn't know much. I didn't think I could handle myself being away from home or in a new city. And any later, I'd probably be in the middle of starting a family. I don't know. Right now, seemed like the stars aligned. Perfect time in my life. Perfect time with the beautiful people, the greatest people I've ever met in my life. So it just slowly worked out. We realized this was going to be a reality.
Yeah, that's cool, man. And like I know, it's not an easy decision. It's not an easy decision at all.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure there are probably, many times where late at night you're probably having a conversation with yourself. Am I doing the right thing? Is this,
get out of my head, Dad.
Mind? Like, what's going on? But you stuck with it. And, again, I can relate to that a lot because, those were, the same conversations that Sandy and I had when we made the decision that we were going to sell our house and all our stuff and hop in an RV and just see where it takes us,
Oh, yeah.
So I commend you on that. Just the bravery to get out of that comfort zone, to leave a place where you've been your entire life and say, here we go. This is what we're going to do. And at the end of the day, I think you guys will truly be successful. But at the end of the day, even if you aren't, you did it.
Oh, yeah.
You did it.
Well,
There's never going to be that question,
right?
What if?
Yeah, because at this point in my life, I've asked myself a million times, and I've in the past had the conversation with friends, family, mom and dad, whoever. You talk about regrets and how you're going to feel when you're older. In hindsight, asking my folks how they feel looking back on their lives. But yeah, I really don't want to live with regrets. So far, I don't believe I have any. Everything I've been through led up to this point, and this is exactly where I wanted to be. Sure, maybe I wish this could have happened sooner, but like you said, best case scenario, I'm living my dream. Worst case scenario, I have an answer, and the not knowing was killing me since I was in college.
Right,
killing me. That's the only thing that's been in the back of my mind through every work day, through every practice session, through every gig, wondering like, could this work? Could I make a living? Could I do something greater? Can I find better opportunity?
Yeah.
If I just go all in, stop half-assing.
Yeah, I love that, man. I absolutely love that. So let's go back a while, because again, I knew your parents long before I knew you, but I still remember videos that your mom or dad would post on Facebook of, you at the high school talent show
Oh
or
man.
whatever. And so, going all the way back, what was it about music in general that drew you to it, that sucked you in, that, was like, found yourself, I think.
I ask myself that all the time, trying to get back into my earlier mindset as a teenager and try to figure it out. I originally, because I believe I was about 11 years old when I started picking up the guitar, but I think I was around 9 or 10 when I just had interest. I remember being a kid listening to like CCR, just that kind of Vietnam era music that my dad was always cranking in the car.
Yeah.
And they all had those huge wailing guitar solos. And in my mind, I'm watching him jam out and I'm thinking, that's it. That's as cool as it gets. Any live show I saw as a kid, sure, the singer's great, but I don't know what, it was just resonating with the coolest thing was those guys just coming in, ripping guitar solos. I can't think of anything greater that could have sparked that initial interest. But then they wouldn't get me one because I asked for a guitar as a kid. They're like, too expensive. Can't do it. Get something cheaper. But my sister started playing in school, so she got a guitar for Christmas. I have it. I think it's here upstairs. I never sold a guitar. But I picked it up. I started picking it up and just messing around with it, trying to do stuff by ear. At that time, think about it, Dan. I'm living in this Italian household with a very protective mother. And I wanted to do a lot of stuff as an 11-year-old kid. I wanted to go out, dirt bikes, so, I don't know, just more dangerous things. But my mom never had a problem like, why don't you stay inside and just play your guitar downstairs? You won't get hurt playing the guitar. So no one ever told me not to play. That was the one constant that, like, you ask for something as a kid, you get shot down. It's a constant request of dangerous or risky things, but there was never a risk playing the guitar. And it never got me down. It never discouraged me. It's just like a nice challenge, one speed bump at a time. It's not really competitive.
Right.
Playing video games stresses me the hell out. I can't handle it. I don't know. I'm not that kind of competitive person. Like the competitive nature of sports, sure. I played soccer most of my life. But you win, someone loses, and the loser is sad, whatever. Maybe I'm being dramatic, but there's never a loser playing music.
No,
It's an expression of art. It's subjective. It's not, there are right and wrong notes sometimes in context, but, to get a little abstract, like visual art, it's up for interpretation. There's no wrong answers. It's an expression.
Right.
So the people I've met and the relationships I've made through playing music since I was a teenager they've been built out of, honesty, bravery. Like it's, you're opening yourself up, vulnerability, performing, that's a whole different thing. But just sitting here in this basement where we're sitting right now, this is exactly where we are in my parents' basement. This is where I spent most of my years practicing, hanging out with friends and, rehearsing. Like I used to keep my amps and guitars over on this wall by the fireplace, sitting across from us. This was my comfort zone right here. I didn't even plan for us to be talking about this right now, right here. That just worked out. But it was just a lot of happy accidents that led to me growing into myself and into this passion without too much objection. It just started growing, blossoming. And then we started performing in high school. I think that was another big thing for me. That first talent show that me and Noah Horst did, that was like my first time playing live in front of my whole school. And we were well received. You know, we placed in that talent show for whatever that's worth. But I remember the heat of performing for the first time in front of my peers, and it wasn't perfect, but it went well. And then I was hooked on that thrill,
Right.
that adrenaline of performing.
Yeah, because there is definitely an adrenaline involved in that. Which is,
oh my God.
which
Every
is
show. I don't care how small or big it is. There's always an element of, you know, you're putting yourself out there and you're trying to reach somebody or turn ahead.
Yeah, it's amazing. And I mean, as you know, I dabble in the harmonica.
Oh, yeah.
Certainly don't, call myself good by any stretch of the imagination. But I remember when we were doing a fundraiser for the organization, and a couple of my players were in a band, and they were the main entertainment for the night. And they were like, "Hey, bring your harps with you. You know, we'll get you out on stage." And I was like, I did bring him, and was still reluctant to get up on stage. But then, finally they twisted my arm, and man, it was like a feeling I've never expected. It was just that, that dopamine rush of playing in front of, and again, it was received well,
Yeah.
and I was like, wow, man, like this is pretty cool. So there is a live performance, man. There's something special about that.
And isn't it great even if you're almost not completely prepared, if you're caught off guard and just
I mean, because I had no idea,
no time to think,
nothing. And the other thing is, I mean, these guys are good musicians, so like we just got up on stage and started playing, and it was magic. Like to this day, I have no idea, like, because it wasn't like, hey, all we did is like, what key's your harp in?
Yep.
What which one you got? Because I have a bag full of. I'm like, well, this is C. Let's just keep it simple, and that's all they needed to know.
Yep.
And
off they went.
Yeah. So I mean, they made it sound really good. But again, it was a feeling like I never felt before. So there've been a couple other times where they'll be playing locally, before we had left, and they'd reach out and be like, hey, why don't you come and do a little, one song with us or whatever. So
yeah,
I would, and it was always a blast.
Oh, okay, so good.
That that's definitely something I can relate to is what that rush is like when you're on stage. So after that first talent show, I mean, how long did it go until you performed again live?
Ooh, well, now you're making me think. I can't remember if we started doing open mics right after that, because I know that was around the age where we started hanging out right down the street. It was it was just the canteen, or the Blue Marsh Canteen, and they had open mics there every Thursday. And I can't remember if it was that year or the year after, because we did the talent show then like every year, except for my senior year for some reason. But we were quick to try to jump on it. Like, all right, we got to keep this momentum. We got the itch. We got the bug. So it was soon after, I think, and we had the folders of all the chords and lyrics to all these classic rock songs. We didn't really know what else to do. We were like, this is all we know how to do. Right. This is what our dads are telling us to do. Go to the open mics, play, try to get a set somewhere.
Yeah, that's cool. So when you first started playing, like, did you pick it up and then like start playing it for hours at a time right away, or was it gradual where it turned into you're playing a couple hours every single day just to hone your craft?
It was gradual. I guess thinking back to that age, there were a lot of things that we were trying. Like, we were beginners at everything,
Right.
Beginner at the guitar. I think I was even trying other instruments, but I can't remember if I was trying to. I think there was a flute somewhere. I don't know. I know I had more than one harmonica, but I remember having that short attention span running around this basement, and I can't remember what else was down here. We would have friends over, and there was still a foosball and air hockey table. So we would play one of those things. I'd pick up the guitar for a little bit. We're playing video games, having a snack. Friends are staying over the weekend. And it would just be something that I just ended up rotating around to with our short attention spans. There's a loading screen on the video games, and also I'll pick it up for a half-hour loading screen because stuff wasn't loading quick back then. It was slow. It was just always there, set up, and within 1 or 2 years, it hadn't gone away, and then it wasn't but 1 or 2 years till I was like 13 maybe. Yeah, because I remember middle school. My buddy Nick Castellano, who now lives in Vegas, he was playing the guitar. He had friends that played guitar. Noah Horst, who was my friend since birth, he was playing the guitar and singing really well at that age. So I think early on, we had that sense of, call it my little community right here in this basement.
Right.
And the friends kind of, the friends in the community, that's what really cultivates a passion in an art, I think.
Yeah.
Now that I think I'm just realizing this, saying this out loud. 'Cause I've been trying to figure this out for a long time. What cultivates a passion?
Yeah.
How do you breed passion out of a person? I don't know. Still trying to figure it out.
Yeah. Well, when you do, let me know. So I want to go back a little bit to one of the things you said about the, in sports and video games and all that sort of stuff, there's always kind of this competitive nature.
Mm-hmm.
Or music, there is really no competition, and I think that's one of the things that's so cool about music is that, you as a guitarist can walk into a room and hear another guy playing, and like if he's better than you, it's not like you want to beat him. Like you're just like in awe, like, wow, man, like,
Right.
what did you do that got you to there that maybe I can, so
Right.
tell me a little bit more about just that, how, it's not competition. I don't even know what you
It's
respect or.
definitely. When you see another guy who's on that level or beyond you, I mean, immediately you can't help but obviously you know how similar you are, because you know that you've been staring at your left hand on the neck for the same or more hours that I have. And that's our whole lives, is just staring down at your left fingers, or right if you're that way. But so some guys do take it a little competitively, and I don't think that's a healthy approach. As you said, more like awe, like it's you need to be inspired.
Yeah.
Right. What's gonna keep you going? Sure, some guys can just lock themselves in a room for their whole lives, and I don't know where Eddie Van Halen got the inspiration to just do the crazy things that he did. Those guys didn't have other people around them doing that crazy stuff. Maybe they found people that did, but me and my friend Joe Nestor, who's an insane bass player, we have that same kind of mentality. We are actively seeking out musicians far beyond our level that we can still resonate with, to inspire us to lock ourselves away and keep crushing it.
Yeah.
To put those hours in, those hard hours. But we don't look at other guys and think we want to beat them. That's not the game at all, for us at least. You need stuff to keep pushing you forward, but it's just benchmarks. Compare yourselves, and compare is almost a dangerous word. I know some artists, like singers, some artist projects, that they'll see other bands and they'll get down on themselves, and then they'll try to over dissect what that group is doing in an unhealthy way.
Right.
And I don't have to tell you that focusing on these negative things just puts you down, puts everybody down, a downward spiral. I don't know. You got to stay positive, know what you're good at, but know what you need to work on.
Right.
And when you see other musicians that are out there doing it, I mean, it can help you identify those things in a practical way. And when you see another great band, and if they have great chemistry or just great talent, it should just be a perspective like a fan. I think that's how you need to view it. Because if you view it in any other way, then it's not going to be from the right place.
Yeah.
Your motives are going to be charged with the wrong emotions.
Right.
I want to feel happy with what I saw. I had a good time at that show. I'm thinking of a band I just saw last Tuesday. We had a showcase, just a 15-minute slot at this bar in Midtown in Nashville, and this band, it's only 15-minute slots. This band that went right before us had a killer guitar player. And there's a small thought as a joke in my mind, like, oh, how are we going to follow that?
Right.
It's just a line from Walk Hard, that movie. And it's just a joke because it doesn't matter. What does it matter that he can shred harder than me with those country licks? It doesn't change anything.
Right.
He's still here at the same showcase, you know? And if there's one thing I've learned in the last couple of weeks, it's that the opportunities you get as a musician, it's not solely based on your skill level. It's about everything you do, you know, as a person. Are you a good person?
Right.
So no, there's no reason to get down or on yourself or think that it's competitive.
Right.
It's really not.
Right.
A lot of business is, you know, and sure, the music industry is cutthroat in and of itself, but strictly thinking of it as an art form, and you got your art, he's got his.
Right.
You know, you got your own crafts. It really, the only way to keep going is to see everything as a positive way.
Right.
Everything's collaborative. Right. Everything is sharing. Everything's influence. So his playing is going to influence how I play.
Right.
Because I remember some of the things that he was doing.
Yeah.
I met him after his set. He was a very nice guy. You know, there's nothing. People get combative. I know drummers that hate other drummers for no reason.
Right.
They never even talk to each other.
Right.
So some people, they just have that thing inside of them that makes them want to argue,
right,
or be the devil's advocate in a less playful way.
Yeah.
You know, I'm sure you've met people like that.
Yeah. Yeah, no doubt about it. And I think, you know, it should be more about lifting each other up than bringing each other down.
Right.
So
community.
Yeah, absolutely. So you talked a little bit about influence. I mean, who are some of the musical influences that you've had, you know, throughout this journey so far?
If you heard me play, I think it'd be pretty obvious. For anybody, not just you. Everybody that knows me knows that I have listened to way too much John Mayer. Let's just get that out of the way. Let's just say that to start. When I first started playing as a kid, I didn't know what to listen to. I didn't know what to learn. So, well, you know, every first song you learn is just kind of what you knew as a kid. I don't know, Christmas songs and like Happy Birthday and stuff like that.
Right.
At the time, there was a lot of like Good Charlotte or Fall Out Boy, Green Day, that kind of just plug and chug type stuff, and it was easy to play. But it was Noah Horst that started giving me albums from John Mayer. Continuum was a huge album when I was in high school, huge, as a pop album, and there was obviously a lot of crazy guitar work in that. So I learned the whole thing, and that was kind of the baseline to everything I do now. I still playing country music or anything else, even rock tunes. You'll hear me pull out some Mayer licks, and people will come up after the show and be like, "Do you listen to a lot of John Mayer?" I know, I can hear it in you play. I forget, I was in the studio. Was it with Garrett? I don't know. They were laughing because they liked the tone of my Strat, and then with the Strat, I was playing some Mayer stuff, and they were saying it from the booth, and I laugh as I hang my head because I'm not trying to sound like John Mayer. But besides that, I think after Mayer and in college, I really tried to push into funk and some jazzy stuff. You really don't hear it in my playing, but I studied the way Joe Pass plays, and he's a big jazz, you know, look up Joe Pass later. I just love the way he plays jazz. But I can't give you one funky influence that gave me that funk side. but I'm constantly listening to Brad Paisley now.
Yeah.
Just the percussive hybrid picking in his country playing, it's craziness. I'll be listening to his solos and just stop, pause, rewind, just to try to get bits and pieces to add into my arsenal. But yeah, so between John Mayer, just everything I've ever listened to with funk, and now how I'm trying to just break down Brad Paisley, that's more or less, I think, the very quick rundown on who's influenced me the most. I used to listen to a ton of Slash. I would just YouTube his solos.
Yeah.
Santana, I would just YouTube all of his solos and just break down those kind of like minor harmonic sounds. A lot of my playing with the country, if you listen to some of the stuff that we cut with Tyler Short, you hear the bluegrassiness. Played bluegrass for like 3 or 4, maybe more than 4 years. So a lot of that stuff, who did I listen to in bluegrass? Love Billy Strings. You know Billy Strings?
Mm-hmm.
Holy cow. He's a wizard. It was more of a genre than a person, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, the bluegrass vibes, the blues vibes, and now just kind of adding that percussive, funky element, you get country.
Yeah.
You mix all that together. It's crazy.
Yeah, and I think that's, funny when, like, fans, like, you'll hear fans say, oh, I'm a country music fan. I can't stand this style of music. I can't stand this style of music. But what I always find funny is the musicians themselves, they're not, like, a quote-unquote country fan. I mean, they're just a musician. And when you talk to country musicians and they talk about their influences, they're mentioning blues musicians and rock and roll musicians and jazz musicians, just like you just did.
Right.
And it's funny how, even you, throughout your career of being in different bands, you've kind of covered a whole bunch of different genres before you landed here on country. And before we started recording, one of the things I said was, did you ever imagine yourself, being a country music musician? And it's funny because everything that made you up brought you to where you are today.
Exactly.
I mean, the band that you're in with Noah and Donnie, was more of a kind of folk, type of genre, a little pop here and there. And
yeah, it was. It's kind of like a folk rock almost.
You did, the bluegrass thing and, all these different genres. And then, here you are. So it's always funny to me when you hear music fans and, kind of putting down another type of music as opposed to a true music lover. Like me personally, I can listen to any type of music on any given day. I mean, there's times, when we still had my, my little man cave back at the house, there were some days I'd just go downstairs and turn the lights off and pop in some Mozart and just, lay on the floor with my eyes closed and listen to that,
Sometimes you just wake up and the mood hits you different that day and you're like, I don't know why, but I'm itching to listen to some folk.
Yeah.
Listen to some Mozart, classical.
Yeah. So it is, like I said, it's funny when you kind of hear that, but the people who really appreciate music, I think, appreciate music.
And I don't know what gets you past that point, or some people are just born that way. I wouldn't call myself a country fan today. I really, I mean, I'm fascinated with country in terms of the entire culture. It's my fascination. I don't turn on country regularly unless I'm trying to study it. I'll admit, there's songs I got to learn.
Right.
So it's active listening. Now I am into country, but if you would have asked me a couple years ago, and you put on country, I would have yelled from across the room like, "Hey, can you turn that off?" Like aggressively tried to avoid it. And that's just who I was. I avoided a lot of types of music. I didn't listen to hip hop until college. I would actively avoid it because I just didn't like electric instruments.
Right.
just as an idea. But I don't know. A lot of people are that way. There's a lot of people I know that still just, they don't like country. They find out what I'm doing. They're like, oh, country, beers, trucks, and dogs, and losing your girlfriend or whatever. Sure, yeah, a lot of that's in the music. But I don't know. If you listen to one song at a time and that's all you're picking up, and you listen to the words like that, okay, then that's all you're going to get. But when you zoom out and you look at country as the entire culture for what it is, all over America, and now I think it's spreading quickly through Europe right now. But still, it's a whole way of living that I was just blind to until I had the luxury of, Tyler Short stomping his way into my life and saying, you got to try this stuff out. Come do these shows with me. I don't know, have you ever felt that way? Has there been a new genre in your life that like you didn't listen to until a certain point?
Yeah, I think for me it was probably, probably more hip hop and rap. Which, honestly,
no kidding.
Would would be a lot of Donnie sending me a link, and me probably not listening to it at first, and then after he keeps sending them, then you're like, all right, let me listen to this, and you're listening to it, and you're like, wow, this is good.
Mm-hmm.
This is good, and I always put a lot of weight in lyrics, and there really are some powerful lyrics, and some hip hop and some rap music for sure.
Oh yeah, hip hop is the only reason why I ever listened to the lyrics. As a kid, well, I didn't start listening to songs on purpose till I was like 12 or 13.
Right.
So I was playing the guitar. So by that age, I was really only listening to the music. I don't think I started listening to lyrics until years and years later.
Yeah.
But when you look at hip hop and rap, and it's kind of all about the lyrics.
Yeah.
So and I'm just kind of vibing to the beat, and all my friends I remember in like high school and stuff, and or in college at parties, just singing along every word to all these hip hop songs, and I'm like, oh my god, I've never listened to the words. What am I doing? So I had to like re-listen to everything.
Yeah.
And listen to it different because I've only been listening to the music.
Yeah.
And I've talked to a bunch of musicians. I'm not alone in doing that, but I don't think it's a problem, but it's just something that happened.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, it's funny. I mean, we're all always evolving.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, we're always evolving.
So hopefully.
Well, yeah. Thank God we're still not our 12-year-old self. I mean, that would be brutal. So, but as you go out and ready to spread your wings and go on this journey, what's one of your biggest fears right now?
Maybe just going broke. Like seriously, I'm not afraid of anything else at this point. Everything is an upside. Everything, as we discussed before, if I don't even want to use the word, but say I'm not going to say fail, but let's say I don't find what I'm looking for or achieve what I hope to, then it's still something I learned, and I can happily go through the rest of my life knowing that I gave it my all. It's not like I'm ever going to stop playing music, but even if I want to move back to Berks County, here in PA, I will then be able to enjoy playing music here more than I ever did in the past years.
Yeah.
So that's still one of the best case scenarios, really. I only had a week there since I moved all my stuff and came back here, but in the week that I was moved in there, we went out every night, met a ton of nice musicians, learned so much about how Nashville operates in one week. So I know my perspective is going to keep shifting as I keep meeting people. Yeah. And everything's just eye-opening, seeing how Broadway works between downtown, midtown, where the good gigs are, how people are making money, even just the business itself. Like living here in Reading, you're not just going to figure out how it works.
Right.
So everything I'm learning is an upside. there's no other fear, Dan.
That's awesome.
So, that's like a big takeaway for everybody I know. Like, there's never a perfect time to take a calculated risk or less calculated.
No, you're always going to find a reason why not.
Right. There's always a reason to not do something.
And at the end of the day, you just have to take that leap and say, who cares?
Mm-hmm.
Let's just do it.
Yeah. I mean, I think a fear of what my friends and family might be thinking of what I'm doing, like that's it. Part of that I think has been in the back of my head. But even though growing up as a kid, people try to direct you and push you around, and oh my God, there's probably billions of hours of people talking and podcasts and videos everywhere saying, don't listen to the people, do what you want to do. But no, at this point, I'm not really afraid of anything.
Yeah, I love that. And, I think another one of our other full-time RV friends had mentioned about the process of them debating whether or not they wanted to do it. At one point they just said, you know what, this is the youngest we're ever going to be right now.
Well said.
Today is the youngest we will ever be in our lives again, so just do it. So I got a huge amount of respect for what you're doing. And I think when Donnie first told me, man, I was like, that's when I sent you the text. I'm like,
immediately.
Big move, man. And I love it. So, so how can people find your music? Where you guys at on social media and all that sort of stuff?
That's kind of tough because it's not, none of them are my projects. So if you really want to follow what I'm doing, I always keep up to date on my Instagram account. So if you have Instagram, you can watch my story as it's unfolding. The gigs that I do, the people I play with, the musicians I'm hanging out with, it's mostly in my stories on my Instagram account. And it's just my name, Tony D. Gentile. TonyDGentile. That's my handle on Instagram. So if you give me a follow, you'll see my stories and some of my highlights, the stuff that I've been doing recently. My grid, I keep pretty particularly tailored to really good pictures of shows and just vacations that I go on. But yeah, that's about it. I don't have like a Spotify or anything like that, but some of the guys I've been playing with recently, Tyler Short, can't misspell that, on Spotify. You can check him out on Facebook and Instagram. Same handle, Tyler Short. Talented country artist. Been loving playing with him. I really grew into country with that guy.
Yeah.
And most recently, Garrett Schultz. Garrett, how do you spell Schultz? S-H. Oh, man. He'll kill me if I can't spell that right. He's another professional that just been eye-opening for me. On Instagram, he's Garrett Schultz Music. Schultz is S-H-U-L-T-Z. So most recently, if you find their music on Spotify, those have been my two main groups. And if you follow my Instagram, you'll see what other groups I end up playing with. We've been talking with several artists just over the last week that need bands backing them. So I'm going to be playing with a lot more people in the next 2 months. Yeah. We already have dates.
That's cool. That's very cool. So just about out of time, but anything that we didn't talk about that you want to chat about before we get to my final question? Well, let me ask you this.
Yeah, go ahead.
For that guy who was you 5 years ago, who's kicking around the idea, who's playing gigs, who's in bands, loving his craft, but doesn't quite have the guts to take that leap, what do you tell that guy or girl today?
Doesn't have the guts. It's really difficult to talk to that guy, and there's no reasoning with that guy, with any person that's in that position. I guess the biggest smack in the face that I could try to tell my 5-year younger self is that just kind of shaking him with the reality. obviously this is the only thing you want to do. Obviously. And everybody knows it. If you're doesn't even matter if you're a young man, older woman, or somewhere in between. Doesn't matter who you are. Everybody knows when they're at a point when they can't stand what they're doing because it's not what they want to do. Right. Everybody knows when they're at that point. You got to that point. I got to that point. My parents got to that point. I could tell you stories about them that you probably already know. But when you feel you're at that point and and it's torture because you're not doing what you want to do,
yeah,
that's the torture. You need to look yourself in the mirror, write it down on paper, do what you got to do to help yourself realize you got to make a change, because the alternative is more torture. Right. And you know what happens with that torture over a long period of time? Terrible things. I'm talking like health problems come from that stress and that torture. Yep. Bad life decisions, rash decisions. You put that energy, that negative energy comes up and makes you, resentment builds, relationships get trashed. I've seen it happen. Yeah. And I'm not that old. Right. But if you pay attention to how people operate when they're living an unhappy life, and the cause and effects, it's detrimental to everything around you. Yeah, it
really is.
But when you're at least on a path trying to live out your dreams in a positive way, and remember when we talked about that kind of positive, negative, the competitive versus collaborative, it's beyond healthy. It's what we're supposed to be doing. Your life changes in miraculous ways. So do yourself that favor and just make the right choice for you.
Yeah.
It's not selfish.
No.
To look out for you.
No, it's not.
Your loved ones, if they actually love you, will support you.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's one of the things my mom used to tell me. Some days you got to do what you got to do for you. You know, and it's okay to be selfish sometimes. And again, looking out for yourself isn't necessarily selfish.
It's not necessarily selfish.
But you do have to, do the things for you that you have to at times.
100%.
Love that. All right. So as I told you, the subtitle of the podcast is Many Little People in Many Little Places, which comes from the opening lyrics of Michael Frante's song Gloria, which go, when many little people in many little places do many little things and the whole world changes. So what's one of the little things that Tony is doing on a daily basis to make the world a little bit better place?
Oh, man. I think the most underlying thing that I try to live by for me, ever since I graduated college, it's been self-improvement like every day. So as soon as I graduated college, I knew exactly what I needed to do to start working on myself. I identified my weaknesses fast. It was all like revolving around like this change, Dan. Like being able to put myself out there, network, communicate with people, communicate effectively, those kinds of things with confidence. So what I really try to pass along to my friends, family, acquaintances, when it comes up organically, I don't like to give unsolicited advice.
Right.
But I'm extremely encouraging, even in the slightest way, to try to improve yourself. I don't know why nobody talks about like all the amazing books that there are to do better for yourself. I mean, people think of the term self-help like it's this lame topic that shouldn't be talked about, but it's kind of like the only thing that should be talked about.
Absolutely.
So anytime I get a chance to just try to help somebody see their own life in a more positive light, or try to make that positive change, or tell someone about a book that I've read that's really helped me, that's really what I try to do across the board. Yeah. Everybody I know, inside, outside of music, we got to try to better ourselves. Read books, and if it's not books, listen to them. I listen to books in the car every day.
Right.
You know, and most of those books happen to be about, although it's all self-improvement, it's really kind of self-awareness and awareness of the people around you.
Right.
If we're looking out for us, we're looking out for you. It's tough to say in a few words.
Yeah.
It's been like 10 years. I've been through this part of my life, but self-improvement. Look out for yourself. Be a healthy person. You know what you want. Try to design a life to get it.
Yeah. No, I love that, and I think it's very important. So I like that a lot. So appreciate you taking the time, Tony. I wish you the best of luck.
Thanks, Tom.
When we get through Nashville, we'll definitely get a text. Maybe we can get together. Maybe we can come out and see a show or something.
That'd be great.
Hopefully they got a parking lot big enough for an RV. That's always a prerequisite. Where are you playing where an RV can fit?
I'll find parking for you. I'm always looking for good parking.
So, yeah, we'll definitely look you up. And folks out there listening, be sure to check out my other podcasts and blogs at danclouser.com. And be sure to go to Amazon and pick up a copy of the latest book, The Journey of My Mother's Son, Volume 1. Tony, again, really appreciate the time and absolutely wish you the best of luck.
Thanks.
You got it.